I want to turn now to what's happening on the Hill, at least when it comes to stimulus. We have Yahoo Finance's Jessica Smith with all of the latest details. Hey, Jess.
Hey, Kristen. Congressional leaders are still trying to finalize this roughly $900 billion coronavirus relief package. They have been working over the past couple days. The top four congressional leaders, they spoke last night. They're working again this morning, and they're trying to come to an agreement. We heard from Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, this morning saying that they are very close. He says that they are working on this agreement that will include another round of the Paycheck Protection Program, money for schools, money for vaccines, and direct payments to Americans. We did also hear from Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, who said many, if not all, of the most difficult problems have been agreed to, but there are still a few issues that need to be hammered out. McConnell said, if it's necessary to do another short-term spending bill to avoid a government shutdown, because you'll remember the government does run out of funding at the end of the day tomorrow, McConnell says he'd like that to be a very short bill just to give negotiators time to finish this up. So we'll be watching to see if we get any kind of an announcement on an agreement or if we can see the bill anytime today or in the next couple of days, and then what they're going to have to do about the government funding deadline that's also tomorrow.
So, Jess, I want to ask you about kind of an industry that I hadn't really thought too much about, which is music venues. They've obviously been hit incredibly hard throughout this pandemic, as we've seen concerts, and live music events being canceled. I know you were speaking with several music venue owners. What did they tell you?
Well, they said they're really, really struggling right now. Obviously, you can't have a concert with people packed into a venue right now. And these venues don't know when they're going to be able to be open again. So they're pushing for their own carve out in the next coronavirus relief package. They'd like to see what's called the Save Our Stages Act. That would create a $10 billion grant program for independent venues with no more than 500 full-time employees. No public companies would be able to get that money. And then if they did not use the money that they get in this grant at a certain amount of time, they would have to return that unused funding. These venues said that this would be a lifeline for them. I did talk to one group that operates several venues in DC, and they say really the fate of the industry is in Congress's hands right now. Let's watch.
For the greater good, they've basically taken our businesses by shutting us down, which we understand because of health and safety. But they took the business, we can't operate, and they're leaving us hanging out to dry in the meantime. And that's just not sustainable. It's not.
I also talked to the team at Rocks Amphitheater in Colorado, and while they are owned by the city of Denver, so they say their venue will be there after all of this, they've had to lay off all of their employees. They've taken a really big hit, and other smaller venues might not be able to survive this pandemic without help from Congress. It's not clear where this final compromise bill will land, if language from the Save Our Stages Act will end up in the final compromise. We did hear from Senator Ben Cardin earlier today. He's the top Democrat on the Small Business Committee. He said that the latest he's hearing is maybe a $10 to $17 billion bucket for these venues. So we'll have to watch and see where negotiators end up on this. Kristen?
All right. Thanks to you, Jessica Smith, for bringing us, of course, all of those details as stimulus negotiations remain ongoing.